Bills and Patriots just a moment away, but first down to the field. Here's Tracy Wolfson.
Thanks a lot, Jim. A lot of talk this week about retaliation on Rob Gronkowski's hit on Tre'Davious White the last time these two teams met. Well, White said everything right this week, that he's moved on, and the best way to get revenge is to get a win. Sean McDermott told us in order to get a win, they need to be physical, but they also need to keep their emotions in check. He showed them highlights of Wofford basketball's win over North Carolina this week. He said, look at how calm and composed they were down the stretch. He said, we need to be just as composed. Poised, you mentioned it, Tony, down the stretch in order to have a win here in New England today. Jim?
All right, good stuff. So interesting little strategy. Show Wofford's win against the defending national champions North Carolina as the Bills take on the defending champion Patriots. And there's Bill Belichick, a remarkable 15 AFC East titles, including an unheard of 9 consecutive years. The Bills won the right to choose. They deferred, and here's the kick to Dion Lewis, who's held up by the ankle at the 23 by Shamarko Thomas. So they decide to put the football in the hands of Tom Brady to get this game started. And of course, Tom has had his way with the Bills more than any quarterback has against any opponent in the history of the league. He's 27-3 all time. His win on December 3rd in Orchard Park set the mark, broke the record that he shared with Brett Favre over a single opponent with 27 wins. First down handoff is Lewis, and he's got a gain of about 2, maybe 3. Now setting this offensive front, Solder is on the field. You see him 77 now. He showed up on the injury report last night with an illness, and he did not take any snaps in warm-up, but there he is on that left side with Tooney, Andrews, Mason, and Fleming. 2nd and 8 as they move Gronkowski to the right side. They're going to run it that way with Lewis. And quick contact on him. The Bills stack him up, including Preston Brown. Milano was in the backfield in a hurry, too. Just a gain of 1. So the rest of the Bills offense, or Bills defense, Kyle Williams was battling a groin injury during the week. The longtime veteran, most tenured Bill. He's out there. Milano, he's improved as the season's gone on. The rookie out of Boston College. And White, a contender for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Tony, 3rd and 8. They can make a statement here right away. The Bills defense, that they can take them off the field.
Yeah, this would be a great start on the road.
Here's Brady, well protected, and the pass was wide of the mark for Hollister, the backup tight end, and the Patriots begin with a 3 and out.
Yeah, Tom tries to fit it in there, and the ball just gets a little low and in front. Needed to be high and back shoulder. And you talked about Solder not doing warm-ups. I think Bill Belichick has a theory: when you're sick, I don't think he wants you to waste energy in warm-ups, so he doesn't have his players come out for warm-ups. Just an interesting coaching point there.
So Ryan Allen will punt it to Brandon Tate, who came into the league 9 years ago as a 3rd-round pick by the Patriots. He's a return specialist, is Tate. He's going to signal fair catch, and he secures it at the 30. After a 44-yard boot, bring out Tyrod Taylor and the Bills offense. Taylor hurt a knee on the very first play of the game. Remember that? Up against New England. He hung in there until the end of the 3rd quarter. Then missed a game. Came back last week and led them to victory over Miami with a touchdown pass and a touchdown run. Congratulations to Richie Incognito, his 4th Pro Bowl in his 11 years. And another one, the 6th for LaShawn McCoy, who went over 10,000 last week. And here is McCoy, stacked up, dives ahead for just 1. Matt Patricia is the D coordinator, and he might be getting a lot of looks in the offseason. He's had as a possible head coach somewhere else, he's had to build this offense, battling injuries and newcomers. Flowers is out there on the field today. Once again, they're without Van Noy, but Marcus Flowers will start in that position. Gilmore, the former Bill, one of the corners. 2nd and 9. And again, they toss it to McCoy. He's got a lane, and he dives near the first down at the 40. Got a nice block by Deontay Thompson on that side.
Yeah, just a simple toss play. Get guys out in front of you, and both teams coming out today. As the weather gets colder in December, both coaches know running the football becomes even more important.
McCoy picked up 8 But he's inside of a yard to go for third down. And it's going to be shotgun time for Taylor.
Yeah, not for long it won't be.
As they move back around with DeMarco and McCoy behind him. Out of the eye. And McCoy has the first down, and he breaks ahead out to the 48. 3 straight carries by McCoy. Picks up a total of 18 yards total on those 3 attempts.
Yeah, simple power play, guard pulls, you follow him around the edge, and McCoy, great feel for that.
You see Kelvin Benjamin, who has been battling a knee injury, was questionable coming in. Hoping to give them that big presence on the outside they've lacked really all season long. First down. The throw to Thompson. Fields it. Weaves. Takes it down to the 44. And that Benjamin I just mentioned helped throw a block that picked up 8. The quarterback position the first 9 games was Taylor. He was 5-4. Then they benched him for the game out against the Chargers. Peterman, the rookie, started that game and was off to a dreadful start in that loss. Back came Taylor. Win against Kansas City. Injured against New England. Joe Webb helped lead him to victory in the snow. And then last week Taylor returned to his position. Got the win against the Dolphins. 2nd and 2. Pass. Chong knocks it down and denies the throw to Cadet.
Well, Taylor, they're actually pretty good on third down. This is the interesting thing. He's a good running quarterback. Everyone knows he protects the football. You're not going to go out here and beat teams 35-32. But with their defense creating turnovers, this is what you want to see, though. Big games, move these chains. He likes to run out of these empty sets if he doesn't get his first read right away.
They converted on a 3rd and 1. Now they've got 3rd and 2. And they convert again. It's Benjamin. With a yard to spare, maybe 2. Kelvin Benjamin with that torn MCL in the right knee. He's already let it be known he'll have surgery after the season, but a mid-season trade with Carolina bringing Benjamin up to Buffalo. Benjamin, by the way, has already been on this field for 1 game this year. It was week 4 for Carolina. He caught over 100 yards and pass receptions. And the Panthers upset New England here.
That's right.
Taylor, first down. It's time and incomplete. Receiver was open. Brandon Tate.
Yeah, Brandon Tate just outside. And you see it's just a simple fake toss. Tate's going to come back on the field. And Taylor right there, throw it, throw it, throw it. And he's just a hair late, and it makes it a little bit tougher throw as Marquise Flowers trailing right on the play.
When that was all set up to pick up a big gain, it was there to be had.
These coaches get some chunk plays available, and I tell you, Taylor hits them. The games that he hits them, they're tough to stop. The games he doesn't.
2nd and 10, McCoy for 6. Well, if he's not going to be sharp.
Well, it's the defense. It comes down. This team isn't going to go get 500 yards of offense. And what happens is they got to control the football, be good on third down, and be opportunistic defensively. Buffalo can create a turnover. Last week they had 3 picks. Jay Cutler threw 3 interceptions. He fumbled the ball a bunch of times. That's the recipe for Buffalo to win.
They face another 3rd down. 3rd and 4. From the New England 35. Taylor flushed out, can run for it. He's going to pick up the first before McCourty cuts off the angle, but another 3rd down conversion, the 3rd one of this drive by the Bills.
And like we said, he's going to look at one guy and then say nope and then run. And that in 3rd and less than 4, that's what, some athletic quarterbacks, that's really just kind of their special trait. And that's why sometimes you want to put pressure on athletic quarterbacks to get the ball out of their hands quickly.
Another set of downs. Tolbert's the running back from the 29. And Tolbert is backed up by a yard or 2. Malcolm Brown busting across.
You see Malcolm Brown just beats Eric Wood to the spot. and disrupts the play. And Tolbert looks like he's a skinny back there.
Never been accused of that, has he?
No, he's a downhill runner. One cut. Get downhill.
2nd and 12. 2 tight ends. Nick O'Leary joining the starter Charles Clay. They've had the football for over 5 minutes. Here's Taylor. Pass. Caught. Benjamin comes back for it. He's going to set up 3rd and about. Let's see where they spot it. 3rd and about 4.
And you can see Benjamin laboring a little bit. He just doesn't quite have the same juice. We saw him earlier in the year, and we were like, wow, he looks really good in Carolina before the season started. And I tell you, you could tell he's just not quite all the way back. And he's going to have that surgery after the season. But you can see he's going to get his stuff underneath. Slants, hitches, possibly a go route, jump ball.
They're glad to have him. 3rd and 4, and can you believe it? Converting for the 4th time. The Bills running behind McCoy are in the red zone with a 1st down.
This is very similar to the last time these two teams played. And just like you said, they're keeping Brady off the field. They're going down. They got down inside, I think, the 10-yard line, and then Taylor threw that big interception, and they did everything right. But they just didn't come up with points at the end. And everyone says you got to score touchdowns. Well, you got to score points. And taking this amount of time, that's a killer for New England's offense to be on the sideline this long.
So 1st down from the 18. Shovel pass inside. That's Clay, and it's all clogged up by the likes of Eric Lee, the former Bill.
Just a great job, you see, by Flowers running right through the gap. He disrupts the play. He hits Clay, bounces him off. And then you see the conversion of the Patriots get there.
A loss of 1, 2nd and 11. As the drive now reaches 7 minutes in length.
For Buffalo, you'd like 4 of these drives today.
Here's Taylor with time. Throws it over the head of everyone. Clay was in the area. Keeping Brady and company off the field with this drive. And again, 4 for 4 on 3rd down. But this is on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 11.
Expect New England to drop out. A lot of guys here. 3-man rush.
Taylor in trouble. Taken down. That's Wise, the rookie who led the charge.
Wise gets the pressure. Butler, 70, gets up, and you see Wise. 91 get right back into play. And there's Butler with the finish, and Wise knows that was a big play. Still, well done by Buffalo to possess the ball. Clock still running, just everything going right on that first drive.
And they've got Stephen Hauschka out for a 41-yard attempt. He's 23 of 26 on the year. A native of Needham, Massachusetts. Grew up a Patriot fan, and his kick is good. Hauschka from 41. 8 minutes and 4 seconds they possessed the football for 16 plays and a field goal. The 16 plays run by the Bills, that's the most plays by any New England opponent on a drive this year, but it only surrenders 3 to the Bills' cause.
Well, that's New England this year. They're giving up a lot of yards. They keep you out of the end zone, though, and they know Tom Brady's going to score touchdowns when he gets down there. I tell you what, they play some great rock music here before the game.
Yeah, I know, and you love
Old
it.
school
Well,
here.
you bring your own anyway.
That's true. That's actually why you guys enjoy pregame.
Yes. Hanging on. Final concert before the game up here. And the kick's going to be run out by Lewis. Oh, look at that hit. He is walloped quickly by Pitts.
You can tell Buffalo is bringing it today, and they can feel the energy of this time of the year. They don't play in games like this that often.
Been a long time.
Yes, and I know the town is very excited about the finish to this season.
So a big hit on Lewis, but he's in the backfield. They're without James White and Burkhead today. Both inactive. And nice play there by Preston Brown. Ends up in a loss of a yard or two. Tonight, the Catholic monks who have been protecting against religious works from ISIS. Protecting ancient religious works from ISIS. It's a survival story tonight on 60 Minutes only, CBS.
That's kind of neat. I mean, that's like Indiana Jones type
It's
stuff.
exactly. 2nd and 11. And just across the 20, the pass to Lewis. And again, the Patriots find themselves in 3rd and medium.
Well done by Brady to get to the check down. Sean McDermott is basically going to play the defense to the quarterback's eyes. He's going to try and disrupt you. He won't try and give you a beat pre-snap. That's why you'll see Brady almost look like he's going somewhere and then be like almost fooled and then have to come back. And if he gets protection, he'll find it.
Gronkowski at the top. Looks like he's one-on-one. There's the pass. Caught by Amendola for the first at the 35. Well, Brady first looked Gronkowski's way, and then he went with the 13-yard pass to Amendola.
Exactly. He's looking outside. It comes back, and that's high-level quarterback play. I'm telling you, you don't throw a hitch and then go to your back and then throw the deep over like you did there in Gronk on White. We know about that matchup. Every time he lines up outside to the right, he's going to have that. And no love lost there, I don't think.
Be interesting watching those two tangle all day long, Gronkowski and White. First down. Brady from the pocket to Hollister. Wrapped up right away by Lorenzo Alexander. So that's twice they've thrown it in the direction of Jacob Hollister. Incomplete on their first series, and this one for a gain of about 4. Rookie out of Wyoming.
Yeah, Hollister's a little bit of their, he's not great in the run game yet, but in the pass game, they really like his ability.
His twin brother, Cody, is on the New England practice squad. Here is Lewis with the carry. Lewis with running room and a first down. Running behind Shaq Mason for a big gainer. Gain of 13.
And that's the strength of Shaq Mason. You'll see him right there, 69. He comes out, and he's so good at deciding at the last second who to block and what leverage to take, and he always gives a hole. That's why they love pulling these guards.
Back to Lewis. Stutter step, and still thrown down for a loss by Preston Brown. Cedric Thornton got to him first. Deion Lewis, you talked about him before we kicked the football. 5th round pick by the Eagles. He was LaShawn McCoy's backup at Pitt.
That's incredible.
Isn't that something? And then, of course, he had the game winner against the Steelers last Sunday as he returned to Heinz Field where he played his college ball and got the game winner. 2nd and 11. Play action, and Brady wide open. Gets the football to Dorsett. Slips through a tackle. And finally is brought down inside the 25.
Now Dorsett's going to come in motion and go out to the flat. Communication doesn't get communicated all the way across the Bills line to figure out who's covering the flat. And Dorsett they got in the trade for Jacoby Brissett over from the Colts, and he hasn't gotten a ton of catches this year, but boy, he was a first-round pick, and he's got juice, he's got speed, and he's playing today, I believe, because Chris Hogan's out.
He is. He's inactive, the former Bill. And they give it to Gillislee. Speaking of former Bills, that's his first carry in a long time. He'd been inactive the last 6 games.
The interesting thing about Gillislee is he's different than the other backs because when Lewis plays or James White or Burkhead, they can run routes and they can run the ball. Well, Gillislee doesn't. He's not involved in the pass game at all. So as a D coordinator, you know what to call when he's in the game, and that's why the rotation, he's down a little bit on.
Kenny Britt in at the top of the screen. 2nd and 5. Brandon Bolden also in. Brady looks right, now goes left to Gronk. Gronk cuts around the defender and picks up the first. He spun around Leonard Johnson and gained 7.
And you see McDermott fool Brady, and Brady had to go through everybody. The pass rush has to get there in that amount of time. Gronk on a simple flat route. And then from there, it's hard to tackle this guy. He's just so big. See, Brady goes around all the way across the field, gets back to Gronk.
The Bills have not really supplied a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year. Not a lot of pass rush, with only 23 sacks in 15 games. First down. Hand off to Lewis. And chugs along to about the 7, maybe the 8. And time running out on the first quarter.
Well, I tell you that you got to pressure Brady with 4-man rush. That's how you beat him. And so far, Buffalo hasn't quite done that on this drive.
3-0 Bills after 1, and you're watching the NFL on CBS. Our fantastic crew anxious to get home to their loved ones for Christmas. Happy holidays, everyone. Jim Nance, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson here at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, starting the second quarter with the Patriots about to snap the football from the 8-yard line. They're the best second quarter team in the league. Brady has scored in the second quarter in 62 consecutive starts. Knocking at the door as we begin the second 15 minutes. That's Hollister.
That's a jet sweep to a tight end, which you won't see in the NFL very often, and you just can't prepare for that. That's what makes it difficult. They have Tom Brady, Gronkowski you got to prepare for, their normal running game, and then now you got to prepare for some tight end sweeps.
Yeah.
They don't just run it straight at you very often down here. They do a lot of different things, keep you off balance, and then all of a sudden they'll run it right at you with a power play. Tough to prepare for.
3rd and 2. Gronkowski is on the left side in motion. Ball snap at the 3. End zone and over the head of Gronk. And they're bringing out Gostkowski. So a big hold there by the Bills.
Gronk's going to go in the back, but the safety comes right over, and Brady right at the last second recognizes he went to the wrong spot and throws it high.
Brady a little frustrated with that. 21-yard field goal attempt coming up for Gostkowski. 28 in a row from inside the 40. And he matches the Hauschka field goal.
That's a win for the Bills.
It is.
Keep them out of the end zone and keep these long drives going.
Well, the Bills about to get the football for only the second time in the game as we're a minute into the second quarter. They kept the football for 8 minutes in the first quarter. Got a field goal. Patriots come back, drive it down the field, some 70 yards, and also just get a field goal out of it. Taped with the touchback. Yes. Happy holidays to all of you.
Jingle bell, jingle bell.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
You see snapshots from Eric Wood's Operation Big Santa event from Monday night. The offensive lineman of the Bills at Walmart to help some 50 children from Stone's Buddies with the pizza party and Christmas presents. Well done, Eric. Saw Richie Incognito there, your great friend, helping out. Some of your teammates pitching in to make the spirits, the holiday spirits a whole lot brighter. Here's a first down, play action pass, down the field open. Thompson has it at the 40, and Thompson is out of bounds inside the 30. That's just the 100th catch of the entire year by a wideout.
Well, what a design by Dennison. It's a deep over, and they know that Butler's going to try and play underneath in this man coverage. And this is, oh, you see that hit right there by Guy. But that's how you get chunk plays. You got to stand and take the hit, and need a design like that. That was fantastic.
That's 1 yard off the longest pass play of the year for the Bills as McCoy slips through one tackle and Flowers ends it after a gain of about 4.
They missed the big plays last time they played against each other. So far, though, the story's been the third down conversions. Just hand it off to McCoy. 3rd and 4, get a first down, 3rd and 2, and then throw a little slant, just 2 yards. And you see, a lot of these first downs are coming in the run game. Whether it's Taylor running, Taylor faking like he could run, handing it to McCoy. If you're New England, to get off the field, you got to stop the running game first inside 3rd and 5.
2nd and 6. Go. Straight drop, throw, complete, first down, Clay, down to the 14. And it is update time. JB and Nate Burleson have the story for us.
Lions still hoping. That's right, JB, and hope floats like a Stafford pass to Ebron, 33 yards for the touchdown. That's his 26th of the year for Matt Stafford. The Lions, they lead 7-0.
And that's hoping for the postseason. Back to Jim Nantz.
Well, if they lose today, the Lions would be eliminated. There they are at 8-6.
Yeah, but if they win, they got Green Bay at the last game, I believe. Without Rodgers, they have a great chance to get in then.
There's McCoy down to the 8. He has so much riding on what is going to transpire in a couple of matchups these last 2 weeks in the NFC South Division, including today Atlanta, New Orleans.
That's a big one. I mean, that's going to... You got Atlanta, New Orleans today. The winner of that's in the playoffs. And then next week, it'll be Carolina versus Atlanta, which could be for everything or depending upon how today plays out, not much. It'll be interesting.
2nd and 5, the Bills, fueled by a 46-yard pass play, deep in New England territory. And McCoy gets within a couple of the first. 2nd time in the red zone in 2 possessions. You got Thompson, who made the 46-yard catch and run, is down, and we'll step aside for a moment. Here's Deontay Thompson on the sideline, putting the helmet back on. He's eager to get back into this game, but it's a 3rd and 2 first for the Bills, just inside the 7 of New England.
Got to stop the running game. I think Buffalo's got to pass it here because they know that. But Taylor may look to sprint if he doesn't get it.
Taylor's pass low, incomplete. Was trying to find McCoy. McCourty on the coverage.
And just, this is where you want Taylor. This is that next step we always talk about. Watch him off his back foot. And right here, McCoy, he's going to go up and break out, and he's open. But watch, Taylor leans back and throws off his back foot, and that's an open receiver in the NFL. That should be a touchdown, and here we go.
Yes, they're going for it, Tony.
I like it. Your season's on the line. You got guts. You got a handoff right here. He's going this way with it. He can keep it and go this way, or he can throw the ball to the left down at the bottom.
Thompson's back in. Here's Taylor in trouble. In trouble, spinning around. Better get rid of it. Doesn't in time. And the Patriots had that covered up masterfully.
They come back with the same play they ran before, but this time the tight end ran the route. And Taylor decides not to throw it and has to scramble.
The sports broadcasting industry lost one of its true legends on Thursday with the passing of our friend Dick Enberg. He was the most versatile and at the same time the most poetic broadcaster this craft will ever know. And oh my, was he a great commentator and an even better human being.
Yeah, Sad to see him go. But I can still remember the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird NCAA final game that he broadcasted. And, you know, my dad showed me that when I was a kid. It was a special voice quality about him.
It was Gillisley for about 3. I can't believe he's gone. I was just with him last week on the phone on a podcast, and a month ago, you recall, when we were between the Buffalo Jets Thursday night game and then our Dallas-Kansas City Sunday game, Dick and I taped a show down in Houston, the 50-year anniversary of the game of the century, Houston and UCLA. Dick called that game. It was his first ever national appearance. And
was it at the
Astrodome?
Astrodome.
It ends up being, as it turns out, the last television show he ever did. It'll air on CBS Sports Network January 20th. But what a dear man. And we're going to miss him. Here's Brady on 2nd and 7. Got it away and dangerously over the head of Gronkowski.
Fantastic coverage here by Buffalo. Tom in the pocket empty, goes through 1, goes through 2, gets back to 3, sees Gronk go up right there and has to be a little safe with that ball as everyone was really well defended on this play. You see the leverage is all correct. They got their help on the correct sides. Well-coached football team, this Buffalo Bills there.
37. Pass. Intercepted. Jumping the route was Poyer, and Poyer's got a pick 6.
There it is, Buffalo. You might be looking at yourselves coming into New England. Maybe the playoffs this year. This is a different Bills team, well-coached. The disguise by Poyer and this staff fools Brady, thinks it's cover 2. And Tom, you're going to see safety's going to drop right into this window on the right, and just Tom Brady looks off left, and he's late. And Poyer with the pick 6. See if anybody touches him on the way down. Kenny Britt was the receiver right there, and this place is stunned. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in here right now.
Well, that decision to go for it on 4th down now, you know, this kind of washes that away as the defense comes up with the play, and Brady's intercepted in the 5th straight game that ties the longest streak of his career. And trying to find the newcomer signed just a week ago, as you mentioned, Kenny Britt. But it's Poyer, Jordan Poyer with the pick 6 for the Bills.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter. Honda. Hurry into the Happy Honda Day sales event today. And by Forevermark. Discover the Forevermark Tribute Collection at forevermark.com.
Yes, Santa Claus is getting ready, all limbered up, and there's some of Santa's helpers. As the real one you saw over the billboards, kids, he's getting ready to come see you while you're asleep tonight.
And he's the only one who's hot in this entire stadium.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a touchback. So, bit shocking to see that. This is the first touchdown of the Bills have put up against New England in some 6 quarters of action. Again, 23-3 was the final when we saw them play 3 weeks ago at Orchard Park.
Well, they missed a couple chunk plays that really could have turned it around. We thought, and we said this before the game, the way to beat, it's the ball, the ball, the ball. And that was our key to the game for New England. If you don't give them points and don't give them the football, you'll probably win the game. But Buffalo, if you give them an opportunity, they catch it, and they're going to try and create it.
So Brady coming out throwing after the pick, finds the safety valve. It's Allen, the tight end, and he's knocked down by Micah Hyde. And talking about Hyde, who made the tackle there, we visited with him this week. He made the Pro Bowl. Hyde did. He has 5 interceptions on the season, but one of the first things he said is that Jordan Poyer should have made it too. He's had just as good a year as I've had. The 2 safeties. I mean, that's pretty cool when one guy is talking about his running mate back there.
Yeah, and they've done a great job. They have 5 new players this year in the secondary. So the fact that they can communicate and they all are together on this is really impressive. Great job by the coaching staff, Leslie Frazier and McDermott.
2nd and 6. Brady throws a strike to Britt. Comes back to Kenny Britt. It's his 2nd catch as a member of the Patriots. Gain of 16.
Yeah, you're going to make them feel vertical and then put your foot in the ground and come right back. And that's the biggest target on the receiving crew by far for New England. If he comes on, it could make this offensive unit even more versatile. But back to what you were saying about the secondary, to come into this McDermott system, there's a lot of communication. If you can see, they look the same before the snap a lot, so the quarterbacks never get a beat pre-snap.
Here's a screen pass. Gillislee takes off and then gets hit high on the shoulder and is knocked down at the 41. That's his first catch of the year. Goes for 15.
And they knew that. They self-scout all the time. It's just a simple screen. And I love how they don't let the tackle go out. And Gillislee showing, he says, hey, I can catch the ball. Get me in these routes like all these other guys. You think it's a run every time he's in the game.
Of course, he had a lot of work at the start of the year, including 3 rush touchdowns in the opener against Kansas City. And has been inactive for a month and a half. Here's Brady. Wanted to go long, and now they start crashing in on him. Passes short for Cooks. He had time, though, to really examine what was going on deep in the secondary and elected not to launch it.
Yeah, I thought he might have had Amendola inside. He was looking outside, and you see the stretch play. He comes back, and he's looking deep. And I thought over the middle, and then he was late to Amendola, so he throws it in a safe spot to the sideline. He's gonna be smart with the ball. After you throw a pick six, you're protecting a little bit. You're not gonna let it go early in the next few drives.
2nd and 10. Gronkowski. Poyer is there, and he's knocked down a yard short of the first. Right in front of Bill Belichick, who checks the spot, sees that it's inside of a yard to go.
Well, you see this matchup here, just a simple hitch route, and Gronk out there. This is, if I'm New England, I start to major in this formation because Gronk just short there on Poyer.
There's Brady, as he so often does. He gets to the line quickly and a quick snap, and he dives ahead on the sneak for the first.
And it's going to be off. They probably had 12 men on the field. That's why Quick snapped him as well.
Greg Rolstad and his crew. There hasn't been a penalty in the game through the first quarter and a half until now.
I kind of like this crew.
Yeah, I do too.
You think the Bills listening? Yeah, he's like, okay. Yeah.
12 men on the field. Defense. That penalty's declined. The result of the play is a first down.
You got 15 guys, and so, Jim, you can't play with 15. 14's questionable, but 15's a little unfair. That's when it gets a little bit one-sided.
They still didn't stop him. Play action. Down the middle and behind Gronkowski.
Had Gronkowski wide open right over the middle here, and Tom just, the ball comes off his hand. And this is rare. Tom's one of the best throwers. You see how that barely came off his hand over there, and he knows it. He's like, oh.
2nd and 10 at the 27. Dion Lewis. Big hole. Fights for it. Look at him go. Little guy plays big. Got the first. Gain of 11. He had a huge opening, but it looked like it'd be stopped after 7. It was all him the next 4 yards after that.
Watch Gronk come down and block. They'll exchange responsibilities. They don't even block the D tackle, and they have Gronk. That's why having a tight end who's that size can do that dirty work. It's really invaluable. They do this 2 or 3 times a game, and they get 10, 12 yards a lot of the time on it.
Inside the 20 with a new set of downs. Here's Brady. Pass. What a catch! Gronkowski, touchdown.
The coverages that Buffalo wants to play, that's why we had just talked about majoring the rest of the day. New England in this formation. Get Gronk outside. You see him on Micah Hyde. And if you're going to play with no safety help, Brady's going to come out and throw that ball, and I think he's probably in there.
Wants the second foot, though.
Look at that one-handed catch.
Amazing catch.
He's in there. I think he's in based on that view.
Well, it's obstructed, that view. Maybe this will clear it up.
Look at the one hand. Boom. That probably would have been in anyway. And then that one is in.
Yep. By an inch. What a catch.
You're going to make Buffalo adjust their game plan by lining him up out there. I think you're going to continue to see New England do that throughout the rest of the game. They found a little subtle weakness within the way they're covering him right now. Expect that to be worn out.
Touchdown confirmed. Gronkowski ties it at 10. This is the 13th time Gronkowski's gone against Buffalo, where he grew up in Buffalo. 13 games, a 12th touchdown against the Bills. Yes, what's up? Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Or Gronkmas, maybe, for some.
What do you think those holidays were like growing up with all those boys? I think those parents had to be like,
goodness.
Don't run into the wall.
Yes.
Stop pushing each other.
Here's Tate. And he's taken down at, well, let's see, he's marked at about the 24. Brought down by Grisby. Friday and Saturday, CBS features the top teams in the country, including Kentucky, 4th-ranked Duke, number 1 ranked Villanova. They're all in the lineup. 2 days of outstanding college basketball on CBS next Friday and Saturday. Tolbert's the running back. Taylor looked his way for a moment, then dumps it off to him. He's got a first down. As Roberts kind of stood him up and forced him to fall. Flowers was there as well.
That's the one concern if you're the Patriots. These schemed runs and then the play action off of it, and they get these guys down the field. The best part of Dennison's offense is these shot plays that they have opportunities for, and then to dump it down is high. Good quarterback play, and Tolbert getting 10 yards.
Rick Dennison, their offensive coordinator, formerly held that role in both Denver and Houston. And that's Taylor keeping it, diving ahead to about the 38.
Yeah, Rick Dennison, the one thing is you watch the tape and they don't have the same, you know, there's not something that's like, hey, their drop back game is great here, they do this stuff. They're simple in the drop back game. Where they get you is when they get you in the schemed runs. They can scheme you up from week to week, and then on top of it, you have a wide attack to defend in the play action game. And you know, if you can stop the chunk plays, you can slow this offense down.
2nd and 7. It's McCoy through a tiny crease and only manages to the 41. Chung is the one who made contact with him. McCoy with 9 carries for 43 yards.
Here we go, 3rd and 4.
We're 4 out of 6 on 3rd down.
They don't trust running it again, do they?
Nope, they're going up top. In fact, they're going deep. Going deep and over the head of Clay with Chung on the coverage.
And this is the thing. The issue is that they've had these big plays, and I talked about stop the chunk plays. Sometimes Buffalo stops themselves. You can get people open sometimes down the field. You see Clay go up the sideline. Look right here. He's got a step. That's 2 steps, 3 steps. The ball's shot over his head a little late, but that's an open receiver as well. Taylor, take a little off there.
First punt of the game for Colton Schmidt. Fair catch made by Amendola back at the 11, 47-yard boot. Brady just threw his 29th touchdown the last time he had it. Tied at 10. There's Gronkowski sitting out this first snap of this next drive by New England. Game tied at 10 inside 5 minutes to go first half. That's a running play for Lewis. Again, there's early contact. He breaks away from it and picks up 7.
You see the earlier interception. Watch Poyer right here come on down. And he's looking right at Brady, and you could see that's his eyes. We actually have a camera on his eyes. And he just goes right in there and grabs the ball from Britt. And then gets up the convoy in. That's a pretty cool little deal. I think that's the 3D Intel stuff. You're going to see a lot of that in the future, folks. You're going to be able to pick that out on your phone probably.
And amazing. Inside the helmet, 2nd and 3. And here's a deep ball. Overthrown for Cooks.
Brady does the same thing Taylor did on the previous down. As a guy with a couple steps, just misses them. These are game-changing plays for each of these quarterbacks. He gets behind Tre'Davious White. And Brady thinks, oh.
We've done a lot of their games this year, Tony, and one thing Tom talked about was that working on the deep ball this year was big point of emphasis in the offseason.
Yeah, the thing with quarterbacks is you're too safe on some deep balls. And he's been too safe. You know, he would tell you, in some cases, you got to let your guy, the DB's not looking.
3rd and 3, a direct snap to Lewis, and he's got the first.
Great design. Josh McDaniels gets Tom Brady to fake like he's going to watch Tom. He's going to be like, hey, White 80, White 80 said, oh, the ball's over my head. But it's not. It's right in Lewis's hands, and first down. Look at Brady get off the ground there. That's not quite as high as Phil Mickelson's jumped in the
close.
Masters.
It is close.
Oh, he's
Down the
open.
field he goes. And a flag comes out, couple of them.
Well, you see the adjustment right there by Brady. He was not going to overthrow him again. And if you underthrow, you get a penalty flag.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
It's on Micah Hyde.
It's really not Micah Hyde's fault. This is on Poyer. Hyde actually does a heck of a job coming over, and look at that. That's a penalty on the defense. I mean, that's a questionable call now that you see that. But that happens all the time on these deep balls. If you touch the guy at all, the whole stadium's looking at it.
It's a 44-yard penalty. Football placement at the 31. And that's Lewis for another 3. Thornton drags him down. White and Gronkowski. A lot of folks wondering what that would be like after what happened in the first encounter. And not much going on so far in that one.
Yeah, and they're getting Gronk matched up on the other side with one of the safeties, Poyer, Hyde at different times, and so that's when they're wanting to throw him the ball. Tre'Davious White's a talented player.
2nd and 7. Pass complete, but the Bills converge on him right away. That's Lewis with the catch and Alexander with the takedown after 5. 3rd and 2 on the way. They move Gronkowski over to the left side. Run it with Lewis. And the Bills are on him. A yard short of the first.
Now, I think they're going to go for this. Usually, you'd run the ball. This is what I wanted Buffalo to do earlier. Remember when they went for it on 4th down, Jim, down in the red zone?
Yes.
If you know you're going for it on 4th down, run it on 3rd down, especially with Taylor and McCoy.
2-minute warning. Yep, 4th and 1 coming up out of the break. Game is tied.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology. And by Tostitos. Tostitos gives back to Salvation Army.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I've heard that a few times.
It's a wonderful life.
Yes, it is. It's a wonderful day to have you with us, folks. 4th and 1 coming up. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. Patriots and Bills tied at 10, and timeouts called by Buffalo. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm. D coordinator Leslie Frazier's defense trying to come up here with a big play, big stop on 4th and 1. And now a timeout called by New England.
Yeah,
you got a 2-minute warning break, a Buffalo timeout, and a New England timeout.
There's a great job by Sean McDermott calling timeout on the initial one. What happens is New England gets up quickly in a very mirrored formation, like almost symmetry, and they allow themselves to run either side quickly. So if anybody's misaligned, they quickly run to that side, and New England gets first downs all the time on that. Well, Buffalo, McDermott was ahead of that, called timeout, got them positioned for the second one. New England didn't have an advantage. New England takes a timeout, and now here comes the field goal.
How about that? After all of that, they're going to bring out Gostkowski.
I mean, that's just two really well-coached teams that give themselves advantages.
Be a 40-yard field goal try. Gostkowski already having made a chippy from 21. And that's his 35th made field goal of the year out of just 38 attempts. We'll be back in 30 seconds. So what we see now is after the Bills take the lead on a defensive touchdown, the Patriots come back with 10 unanswered points. Touchdown pass from Brady to Gronkowski, and a second field goal of the game by Gostkowski. And we got the Verizon halftime report coming up shortly with JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. All the latest scores and highlights coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
So right here, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to guess that Bill Belichick is actually going to use a timeout if Buffalo throws and gets like 6 yards on first down. I think you're going to see Belichick use his timeouts instantly, which is rare. Most coaches are going to wait a little bit. But we'll see how that plays out here. It's a big possession.
The Patriots have their first lead. They have first position at the moment in the AFC playoff picture. If they win here today and then beat the Jets next week, they would have home field throughout the playoffs. And there you see Buffalo at 8-6, Tennessee at 8-6. Baltimore with its win over Indy last night is at 9-6. Rams lead down in Nashville 13-10. Here's Taylor on first down, spinning around, and over the top he goes to an incompletion.
You got to be careful if you're Buffalo. You need a first down, if for no other reason than not to allow New England's offense back on the field. And right there, there's an opportunity just to get the ball to the tight end quickly for about 5 to 10 yards in the flat.
Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady with Amendola listening in. They have to think they're going to get the football back. They just excel at this last 2 minutes of the first half. Will the Bills allow them to as they run it with Cadet for only a yard. And Trey Flowers on him quickly. There's a timeout call. Cadet's injured.
Oh, this is a tough one because I think this might be a timeout then for Buffalo on top of it. Yeah, that's going to be a Buffalo charge timeout, and Cadet gets the ball, and you see him try and cut back. Flowers sheds, and you can see right there. Ooh. Oh. That knee. Ooh, that's
not good.
Not good.
It is a Buffalo timeout to address the injury. Cadet, who had been signed midseason, Sean McDermott was aware of what he can do as he went against him so many times as the D coordinator at Carolina when Cadet was making plays for New Orleans. And he kind of worked his way into a position where he was ahead of Tolbert as the 2 behind McCoy.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not going to speculate at all, but I do know that leg looked, very gruesome. That was pointing a little bit different, so hopefully he's a little bit not as bad as it looked there. That's a tough one.
We'll step aside for a moment. Again, the Verizon halftime report is coming up. A lot of important games taking place in this early window on Week 16. JB and the crew will have all the latest for you coming up on the Verizon halftime report. Bills players surround their fallen teammate here, Travaris Cadet, who they put an air cast on that right leg. And he's going to be transported to the Buffalo locker room. And look at the Patriots there too, showing a sign of great sportsmanship.
Players, no player wants to see anything like that, and you can see, at least look at Flowers, he sees it and he's like, oh, you remember the injury with the Boston Celtic, Gordon Hayward, where everyone just, oh, he looks away. And you know, it looks, the good news is it looks like he isn't in a ton of pain right there. He's more upset that it happened. But you can come back from stuff. I mean, it's tough though, just because of the season they're having and you want to be a part of that finish. But he's had a great season. He's done well. We wish him speedy recovery. Sports mean a lot to these guys and to their families. And here we go, back to the game.
And it's a 3rd and 10 with 1:40 to go in the half. Taylor stays in the pocket and connects for the first down to Benjamin. That's big. And bound to have to give the football back to New England. The Patriots had 2 timeouts.
Just a simple go up, push off a little bit, and the size. And this is what they haven't had. They haven't had a guy to create that separation. And you know, he's up top right there. If that safety comes down, he's going to keep looking. Look at this safety. If he comes down, expect him to go back over there.
Last play went for 15. Now they dump it across the middle. McCoy pulls the football out. Then he places it safely under his arm with a gain of 8. Now the Bills with a minute to go near midfield and with 1 timeout. Comes a blitz. Pass incomplete. Clay tried to reel it in, but McCourty with contact at the same time wouldn't allow it. That was Chung in on Taylor.
Safety blitz, Chung, and they get the quarterback to release it early. And Taylor just too far out in front. And he's getting hit, but that's going to happen on that safety blitz there. You just got to connect and make them pay.
3rd and 2. 50 seconds to go.
A sack, you're going to get a timeout from New England. Don't throw this ball away. If you can't get the first down, you eat it. You don't throw it away.
Taylor dancing around, safety valve. McCoy needs to make a move on McCourty, and he steps out. Where do they mark it?
Oh, it's
got
close.
First. He's got it.
You have to look at that replay where that ball was when he went out of bounds. Let's see if the ball, it's going to be in his right hand. Taylor goes through the progressions, boom, 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 all the way over. And then well done by McCoy. I don't think there's anything there to overturn that. That's
first down at the 50. And just 43 seconds to go.
Got to take a shot outside the field here.
Taylor. Sacked.
Throw that one away. Now the clock matters. It's first down. The clock's running. Now they got to use a timeout.
Which they do.
There's so much in your head before the snap. You just know right there, throw it right out of bounds. And Flowers gets there. You can see the closing speed, big Marquise Flowers. And so Buffalo's done with timeouts. You got 37 seconds. That's why that was a play to the sideline. You wanted to take a down the field shot, especially with what New England's been, playing with the single high coverage. You got one guy on one outside.
You have with Stephen Hauschka, a kicker who's made 7 from 50 and beyond, including 4 from 55 plus. But they need to pick up a few yards to give that a thought. 2nd and 11. Well protected this time. Pass to the sideline, and nice catch by Benjamin.
He should throw it outside the numbers on every snap. That's how New England's playing the entire game. And it gets the ball out of your hands. It's a rhythm throw, and you have a big receiver. That's why you go get Benjamin. There's no reading. You just take everyone off the field, and it's a throw catch to the sideline.
Now you got a 3rd and 2 from the New England 42. And you don't have any timeouts.
If you're New England, you're sitting on routes here. I'd be aggressive if I'm Buffalo.
Here's Taylor. He's being aggressive up top. and it's caught by Thompson, and he goes out of bounds. Thompson with 2 big plays in this half.
Well, New England's phenomenal situationally, and Butler's sitting on the sticks, 3rd and 2. Thompson goes right inside and gets up. You got to get up and clock this right now.
Had a flag out.
Maybe offsides on Butler. That was a big-time throw by Taylor right there, and Thompson with the stretch on the catch. I mean, those big plays are the difference.
Encroachment, defense, number 70. The penalty's half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Now this is big because you don't stop the clock.
This is a big thing, too. They ruled that he did not get out of bounds, so the clock was running.
And I agree, he was in bounds. But now the clock stopped.
Yep.
From the penalty. So now if you're Buffalo, you have a play. You cannot throw this ball in bounds. This is 100% in the end zone.
Weren't we in this position last Sunday watching a game?
Yeah, Belichick's going to take a timeout after he sees the formation right here and expect him, if he doesn't like something, to signal a timeout.
Here's 1st and goal. Taylor's pass. Incomplete. It looked like Belichick, I was watching on the far sideline, looked like he was trying to call timeout.
Well, he goes over there. If he doesn't like a formation, he takes it. But, so watch.
Wow, he was halfway there.
He didn't like, if he motioned across the field, he didn't like a 3-by-1, which means if they have 2 receivers on one side, 2 on the other, he's okay with it. Here we go. Same thing. Got to throw it to the end zone.
We got Benjamin at the top.
You cannot hand the ball off here.
Here's Taylor to the end zone. It is dropped. Oh my goodness, are we in Pittsburgh again?
Can you believe that? This is a throw right to Clay, and Chung's on him, and just
the exact same thing. Tight ends. Last week, Jesse James, and this time not surviving the ground is Charles Clay.
Oh, Peterman's in the game. You have or different.
You got 6 seconds.
No, I'm sorry, Taylor's in the game. You're seeing people run on the field and come back.
Here's a 3rd and goal. It's going to go to Benjamin. Up top he goes. Oh, he caught it. Did he get the feet down?
He's in!
Yes! What a catch! With 2 seconds to go in the half, the Bills regain the lead on an amazing drive down the field.
We've got to see this one, but wow, what a catch and throw. Look at this, right to the back, exactly where you got to throw it. 1 foot, I couldn't see that left. It looked in from there.
You can see the second foot
The
down.
right foot's down for sure. Let's see the left.
Yep, 1. Is it Dragons are touching? I think I saw a little bit of, of the turf come up.
We're going to have to, and plus he's got to get possession here. When does he get possession? Right now. Oh, I don't think it is. I think by the time he got possession, there's a chance the left foot was off the ground. So watch. He doesn't have possession yet, though. See, when it touches, now he's got possession. Okay, so let's see. Right foot in. Left foot touches right there. It drags, it touches it, but does it touch when he has possession? This might be too much to overturn.
Yeah, the call on the field was touchdown.
Let's see if we can pause it right when he gets possession. Right when you feel like he's got possession, let's pause this. Right there. Is that left foot down? That's a little above, right?
Well, you can't tell, honestly. You can't tell. It might actually still be touching.
Yep.
It's very close. Like I said, it might be not enough to overturn it.
Well, Al Riveron, every week you're going to have one fan base really happy and the other one really upset.
Well, how about the previous play where you had another apparent touchdown, but going to the ground, it comes out. This is some effort here.
What a catch.
By Benjamin. See, that toe.
That toe might be, I think that's, I would keep it. I would stand and I'd say touchdown Buffalo. Based on the evidence you saw, just because it's hard to overturn it.
Official standing right on top of it.
The conclusive evidence is difficult. to say, because he definitely drags that left right there. You see the black right there on that turf, right down there. The ball never moves. This is why you go get Kelvin Benjamin. These one-on-one games where he's outside by himself. Jim, what do you think it's going to be?
I don't think there's enough there to overturn it. I think it's a touchdown.
So let's see right here.
See that it's definitely.
Yeah, you see the black.
There.
You can see it.
Yep.
It comes right up there.
Not sure he doesn't try to touch down again with that foot.
The fact they're going this long, though, makes it a little scared. It's like that. It's like, how come the jury's not back out yet? Are they going back to look at the time on the clock if it's incomplete, the down and distance, the yard line? Here it comes.
After review, the ruling on the field has been changed. It is an incomplete pass. It will be 4th down and goal at the 4.5-yard line.
Got to be honest, I didn't see it. I didn't see enough there.
Here's the split screen. It's all about the control. Watch this back foot right down here. Right there, he's touching, right there. He doesn't have control yet. There's control. Is that foot touching right there?
Yeah, it's dragging. There's those little pellets coming up at that time.
He didn't have control, they're saying, when the second foot dragged, which is what it came down to.
And the field goal instead ties the game to close out the first half at 13.
Buffalo has to reset. Forget about that. It happened. They dropped. Clay dropped a touchdown right before. That's a well-played half. They're in perfect position. The game is going the way they want it.
Great half of action. And the Bills, remember, deferred at the top. They'll be getting the football to start the third quarter. 13-13 at the intermission. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon. 13, second half kick is headed Buffalo's way here in just a moment. Now the psychology of how will this affect for Buffalo? The fact that it looked like they had a touchdown, they were celebrating on the sideline and everything, and instead they have to settle for the field goal.
Well, I think the psychology is what we talked about earlier in the game. You got to play with poise, and there's going to be a lot of poise because this was a tough call that went against them. And when you see Benjamin has possession right there. Now, they're really looking at that back left foot. Is that on the ground? You can't really tell, but it looks like that black has come off right there. And see how the ball moves, though? He switches hands. It goes from his right hand to his left. The only thing is that he didn't have control of the ball.
You think that's not control? Do you think when he switches hands with it, that was a move that lost control of the football?
I don't know if that is enough for me to think he didn't have control. I think that it was a very difficult call. It's tough to overturn that is the hard part. And that was one that was difficult, but I know that they had said, the head referee Al Riveron had said that he didn't have possession when that last foot.
Okay, so the Bills have to put that behind them. This is a tie game with 2 quarters to play. Let's get the latest from Tracy.
Well, Jim, you talked about the psychology of this team, and I spoke with Sean McDermott coming out of the half, and he said he felt as though Kelvin Benjamin had that touchdown, but he said we can only control what we control. I asked him about Charles Clay and the previous call, and he said, well, he didn't have the opportunity to challenge because that is not in the rules, but if he did, he would have thrown the flag. He said the key for them getting over that is coming out here on the first drive and putting up some points, Jim.
Okay, so he wasn't happy about it. Sounds like third or fourth. I don't think they would have won a challenge had they been able to, which they couldn't inside 2 minutes. On the third down play, here's Clay. But again, the question that now we all have to move past is what happened on that final pass play to Benjamin. I should say second down play to Clay. Third down play was to Benjamin. And there's a little 15-yard starter to begin the third quarter.
You see everything so close and similar all over the place there. These teams pretty similar in that first half.
McCoy. He's able to bust through a little opening, and the Bills pick up 2 chunk plays to start the quarter. But there's a flag down in the secondary.
Yeah, it's going to be holding on Buffalo. It's a backbreaker because this drive is really important. You want to keep your same style of play, be patient.
Holding. Offense. Number 10. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Still first down.
Hold on, Deontay Thompson's a spot foul.
And you see Thompson sees the runner coming and just gets away with that grab. See, that's the thing is it's such a weak call, but it's true. He did hold him, and it happens right at the point where the ball carrier's running by. You don't need to do that. Thompson should just let him go once he's past you.
I mean, again, since it was a spot foul, it's actually just 1st and 2 then.
Yep. Simple handoff here. Just give it to the left.
Tolbert, the running back. And Guy knew it was coming just as you did. Lawrence Guy brings him down.
Well, yeah, Guy just right in the middle of the field takes on Wood and just swims him. You're going to see him go right across and swim him, and just that's not a good feeling when you see a guy the size of Guy right in front of you when you're Tolbert. And there was a pun intended there.
I picked up on it. I was going to add another layer to it. I let it go.
Well, you got to add layers. For the audience.
Right, next time.
Okay.
2nd and 3. You saw the graphic. The Bills have not scored an offensive touchdown now in 6 quarters against the Patriots this year. And just crawling around the ground is McCoy for a couple.
This should have been a first down. I mean, he loses his footing, and I tell you, he's great in the snow. But watch, it's going to be a simple toss to the right, and he's going to cut back, and there's an opening there. And he just loses his feet, and that should have easily been a first down. If they get stopped right here on this running play, then
they had 1st and 2, and now it's 3rd and 1. And they pick it up by a yard with McCoy. So when you would face, in your day, a moment that you felt like it had been taken away from you, but you still have a whole game to play, how were you at being able to convince your teammates that's in the past, we got to live in the present?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the reality of it is you're just trying to execute the next play. We'll see what the score is late, and then you'll get mad at night or the next day and stuff. But in the moment, these guys are already over it. They're trying to figure out how to block the 3 technique and run their route.
From the 49 of the Patriots. Play action. Giving Taylor the time. Goes with the safety foul. Look at that move by McCoy. What a move! And another one as he cuts back inside the 30. Brilliant run by McCoy down to the 10. There were about 3 different parts of that run by McCoy.
Well, watch this. It's a design play. They're going to fake a handoff, and he's going to come out here. And as he does, you're going to see Taylor look down the field, and then watch right here. Watch this little wiggle right back in. Whoop! Roberts had no chance. Watch this one here. Hey, he didn't even see him. He was already cutting the other way.
Look at that move.
And then he kept going. Gale Sayers like all the way through everybody.
1st and goal at the 10. There's Taylor. Over to DeMarco, and boy, are they backed up. They complete the pass and lose about 8 yards.
This is a killer because if they didn't try too much, they could just have, it's a fake handoff, but watch the running back in the flat. Now they're trying to get everyone to flow this way. New England was so well coached up on this, but look at the running back right here. That's a touchdown. But that's not the design of the play. It's a screen pass almost back to the other side. They tried to trick him.
So you go from 1st and goal at the 10 to 2nd and goal from the 18.
Ooh, we got nobody over the top.
Incomplete. That was Tolbert.
They just don't respect the outside. Kelvin Benjamin's one-on-one. That ball, I mean, there's nobody in the middle of the field. They're going to take away your short stuff. As you can see, you're throwing to running back who's got a guy behind him and right in front of him there if you'd have caught it.
So what are your options here when you have an offense that has not been able to produce a touchdown in the red zone? You're not a dynamic offense. He got 3rd and goal from the 18.
Well, what you want to do is get right to the middle and have your tight end catch it about the 5 and hope he can run into the end zone right after.
Here's Taylor on the run and taking off with it. And that'll set up about a 30-yard field goal try by Hauschka.
So Buffalo ran an all-go, which means, with 5 guys empty, they all run go routes, and Taylor knew before the snap with the soft defense that he was going to run around. He's not open because there's a safety over the top. So even though he looks open there, that's right when he was scrambling.
It is a 30-yard attempt to give the Bills the lead. And Hauschka's good again. Good from 41, 23, and now 30 yards out. 16-13, Buffalo back in front. Well, the Bills take the lead on a 4.5-minute drive, going 63 yards to set up Hauschka's 3rd field goal of the game. And Brady and company down 3. 3rd quarter, here's Hauschka, who came here last year as a member of the Seattle Seahawks and was 4 for 4 at Gillette, 3 for 3 today. So,
Jim, we keep talking about how important this game is for Buffalo and just changing the fortune. If New England loses this, where do they go from? 1 to 4?
They could possibly go to 1 to 3 if Jacksonville and Pittsburgh both win their games here in Week 16.
We got to talk about that later. But one thing today, you've seen Tom Brady, okay? This is a zone defense. They want to keep everything. Vision on the quarterback. Throw underneath him, Tom. That's why he's holding the ball a little bit, looking downfield, and he's throwing. But as soon as they get man-to-man, he's going to find Gronkowski. And you're going to say, hey, turn this view. Turn to the backside. Will you? There you go. Thank you. See that right there? Look at that catch. Fantastic job. Tom knows the difference between zone and man.
Play action on 1st down, up and over the top. It goes to Gronk for a drive starter for about 18 or 19. And they're in hurry up.
Well, he missed him earlier on the play action down the field, and this time Gronk keeps it vertical, and Tom hits him and decides to run a quick play.
Yep, to Dion Lewis. And he's able to pick up another nice gain of about 7.
Here they come. They're going no huddle, up tempo now. They're not going to keep this pace that Buffalo wants. They want more possessions if you're New England, more opportunities.
2nd and 2. Wide opens Cooks. Ducks under the 1st tackle and has another 1st down at the 35. And they have Buffalo right now on its heels with these fast-moving plays.
Well, this isn't going to hold up. If you're Buffalo, you've got to send some pressure. You have 1 hurry the entire game. No sacks, no hits on the quarterback. 1 hurry through the whole game so far.
And off to Lewis. And met right on. We'll mark him down at the line of scrimmage. Preston Brown. Gronkowski in the 2nd half of the last 2 games that he's played, that's at Buffalo and at Pittsburgh. Look what he's done. In fact, last week, there we were in Pittsburgh, that 2nd half, including that game-winning drive, he ended up having his career yardage in a game. Amendola, he is wrestled down by Poyer. It'll be 3rd down and about 4 coming up.
Yeah, Gronk at the 2nd half of these football games is getting in positions where the teams want to play physical and play man-tight coverage on him. And so they're getting to the plays where he gets to move down the field against it, and Tom's accurate, and teams just, they got to be physical late in games. They can't let Tom dink and dunk away to a win, and that's when he gets it.
They run for it on 3rd and 4, and Lewis stopped a yard short. Now what will they do? Do they go for the field goal to tie it, or they go for it?
I want you to know that last play, I think, was a flea flicker. Watch, Gronkowski's going to fake and then go up the field. And look at the back was about to come back. Ooh, here we go. And the back kept the ball in that last one.
4th and 1. Bills. Oh, he reached out. Are they going to mark him back?
That's going to be changed, though. You're going to throw the flag, because I saw that ball on that yellow line. The difference is going to be where it is. Belichick has to throw the flag here. He's across the white. We'll see where the line is.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. State Farm. Here to help life go right. And by Verizon. Best gifts on the best network.
We are in the middle of a New England challenge. They do throw the flag, questioning the spot on a 4th down carry by Dion Lewis as he reached across and looks like for sure he would have the 1st down.
See his legs, nothing down right here. You can see his knees. His knees are right there. And it's nothing on the ground, so nothing tells you he's down. And you can see the marker. If we all the way across the other side of the field, you can see that marker right up there. And that looks like it's short of that white line barely. And this ball looks like it's just past it.
Again, this is a huge call because it's a change of possession otherwise.
Well, on this view, you're exactly right. This is a possession. This looks like a 1st down. But if they, that's tough.
After review, the runner reached the line to gain at the 25-yard line. It'll be 1st down, New England, and will not be charged with a team timeout.
So now the New England offense returns with a new set of downs at the Buffalo 25. To send Dorsett in motion. Handed off to Lewis, tripped up. Good tackle there by Sharice Wright, who's seeing so much action today with E.J. Gaines inactive with a knee injury. There is Gaines.
How do you know?
Mike Arnold told me so.
The great director, he knows everything.
2nd and 10. And a catch made right on the marker by Amendola.
I think they gave him a better spot than where he was. He was short. I don't know that it's worth the challenge because they're going to give him a 1st down here. But watch where this ball is when Amendola catches this. He's well short of that line, and they're giving it in front of that line.
Yeah, he was on the other side of the 15. But it's a 1st down run by Lewis. He's got 2. What a game this has been. A lot of big plays, a lot of moments that left you holding your breath. A couple of big challenges. An overturn right before the half.
It's a broadcaster's dream.
The dream is when they come down to the wire.
That is true.
And then maybe that's where it's headed. 2nd and 8 to Lewis. And that'll set up 3rd and about 6.
3rd and 6. They did a good job earlier keeping New England out of the end zone in the 1st quarter. And I'll tell you, New England, their offense, they're ranked 10th in the end zone, or in red zone offense. And Buffalo's 12th, so they're both pretty good, you know, offensively and defensively. We'll see right here, Gronk one-on-one outside. They got to keep him over here. Don't move away. Stay there so he can't throw it to Gronk here.
Got Kenny Britt on the field as a receiver. Brady on 3rd down. Wrapped up and taken down by Kyle Williams. The longest tenured Bill by 3 years. Steps up and makes a huge stop.
And an unsung hero here is Jerry Hughes. He goes inside, and you see Gronk double team, just like we said. Sean McDermott. This is what we talk about being well coached. Don't let someone beat you, their best player. And Kyle Williams gets outside, puts the pressure on Brady, and makes him hold the ball.
And now it's Gostkowski's turn to try to make a 3rd field goal of the game. Only 34 yards. The kick is good. 16-16.
You got your close game.
Yeah. 5 minutes to go in the third. What a compelling afternoon it's been. We've been tied at 3, tied at 10, tied at 13, and now tied at 16.
That's a lot of ties.
You don't see that very often.
Now, this is a great football game, and right now it's, both teams are comfortable, they're in shape, but this, it's going to come down to a big play. Buffalo needs this drive to finish with points.
And it's going to be a touchback. We mentioned earlier our loss this week, the passing of Dick Enberg, but we also lost one of our true unsung heroes at CBS Sports in Chuck Will. He was Frank Chirkinian's right-hand man and associate director for some 4 decades and helped create the aura of the Masters telecasts and coverage of the PGA Tour. He was a real character and a beautiful soul. And he is going to be missed by so many at CBS, the great Chuck Will. So here are the Bills on first down play action. Taylor taken down at the 10-yard line by Malcolm Brown.
Well, you see right here, this Thompson's cover, that takes forever. These are decoy routes. These routes aren't the play. The play is a throwback to Clay coming all the way back across the field. And Taylor looks all the way back, and he's got to throw that ball away. Oh, that's just a killer. You're now behind the chains.
I mean, not just behind the chains. You're miles behind the chains. He lost 15 yards on the sack. It's the 4th time they've taken the quarterback down in the game.
Well, now you're just having to make sure you don't turn it over.
And Tolbert's not going anywhere. Malcolm Brown makes the sack and then comes back and makes the tackle.
New England smells blood. This is what we talk about, the poise in the game. If the quarterback throws it away, it's 2nd and 10. Taylor, you got to stay ahead of the chains. And then now it's 3rd and 25. No turnovers. It'll be a screen or just a handoff draw here. New England's going to get good field position. And when they smell blood, they attack.
Yeah, the fans do too. Here's McCoy just to the 20, and it'll be 4th and 15. So like the play down on 1st and goal at the 10 where they lost 8 on their previous possession, their first down snap of this series loses 15.
Just a killer. Just everything's in position, and now, right now, I mean, every possession now, can really determine the game. Every ball a turnover, anything.
Colton Schmidt. He's had a good year. Can change field position about as well as anyone. Amendola. He is smothered at the 35-yard line. Good tackle by Humber. 55-yard boot. Tie game late 3rd.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin. Get a Garmin smartwatch and beat yesterday. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Back here at Gillette Stadium, Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft. Robert actually attended the first game in Patriot history back in 1960. And the family, they were season ticket holders before they bought the team. Here's a running play for Gillislee. And he spins out for about 7. Boy, does he happen to be back on the field, getting a chance to play today with both James White and Rex Burkhead inactive.
Well, you can see he's running downhill aggressively, and he knows he's got an opportunity in front of him. He started off the season well. Just these other guys had a little bit more ability in the pass game, so but you can see he's a good running back. They got talent here at the running back position.
They start this drive at their best starting point of the day as Gillislee breaks ahead before Hyde meets him on the Buffalo side of the field at the 46. Run for 12. 4 carries for 28 for Gillislee.
And they're going small. You see nickel in the game, which means basically they have an extra little guy for the defense. And New England very quickly puts 2 tight ends in the game and runs the football. Same thing again. They're going little. New England staying big. Expect the same type of thing.
There's play action pass. Gronkowski. Down to the 30.
And Gronk right here, same route they've run 3 times, but you see it's pretty good defense by Hyde. That ball was just perfect. And Gronk with the long arms. You know, for Brady to miss a couple throws early, he's back now. He's got someone down.
Illegal hands.
It's Micah Hyde.
Hands to the face. Defense, number 98. That penalty's declined. The result of the play, it's a first down.
And Micah Hyde making the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career, coming over from Green Bay as a free agent in the offseason.
That's Micah Hyde down, right, Jim?
Yep.
You see at the end. Let's see if he gets kicked. Sometimes behind, it's right here. Oh, and then you're going to land right on it. Yeah, you got like a heel kicked right in the stomach. You hope it's out of, you know, sometimes it gets the wind knocked out of you and you're down and you can't really breathe, and then it starts to come back a little bit. Hopefully it's that. Be right back up and going.
I think that's what it was. That kick right in the stomach, trying to hang on to the tackles.
Yeah.
Gronkowski's about as difficult a guy to bring down as anyone in the league. In fact, I'm not sure there's anybody you could compare him to.
No, it was like me when I played with all the middle school kids when I was in college.
Yeah, right.
It made it easy for me to feel like I was a winner. Looks like you'll be okay, though. You get kicked. I'm all right.
Going to need him back.
Yeah, Pro Bowler, secondary. Here we go. They're going big again, New England.
First down from the 30.
Oh, Buffalo's really small. You got to run it. They have extra defensive backs in the game. Oh, they're play actioning.
Brady goes deep to the end zone. Knocked out by Trey Elston. Oh, and they throw a flag. That was a little bit late. Elston, who had come in for Micah Hyde, looked like he broke it up, but then they throw the flag.
It's a double move. Gronk's going to give him
Pass
in
interference.
and then go out.
Defense, number 21. Since that penalty occurred in the end zone, the ball will be placed at the 1-yard line.
Okay, they called it on.
First down.
They called it on 21, which was Poyer, and then
Correction. Number
Correction.
36.
Yep.
Correction. Poyer is not in the game.
He was in the game, but he was all alone. And Gronk is able to draw the pass interference flag. 29-yard penalty. Gillislee stopped for no gain.
We got a flag. This is big if it's holding on the offense, but if it's on the defense, they'll get half a yard maybe.
12 men on the field. Defense. The penalty's half the distance to the goal. Replay. First down.
And you know right now that New England is attacking you on every possession, and Sean McDermott talking right there to Elston saying, you got to stay on top. We have everyone in there to stop the run. We had a bunch of little guys. You can't get beat deep.
Gillislee, the tailback. And the ball carrier, and he's across for the touchdown.
Watch the right side over here. You're going to see Shaq Mason drive Coleman all the way back, and just you run right behind him. And Fleming, the right tackle, turns him out. Just perfectly executed drive.
And Gillislee scores against his old team. Set up on the 29-yard penalty on the pass interference call on Elston. Extra point makes it a 7-point lead. for New England. So Gillislee has a 5th touchdown as a member of the Patriots. Again, he had been a healthy scratch the last 6 games, but comes back today. He's up and he's healthy, as he has been throughout this period where he's set, and he's making plays. This is next week. This is the lineup. Check your local listings. We're going to make a doubleheader out of this. Got to wait for all the games to be played out to kind of stack the lineup in a way that we'll figure out, of course, seeding and trying to play your way in, whatever the case may be. The final week of the regular season, next Sunday, doubleheader day on CBS on New Year's Eve. We'll be with you, and it all starts at noon Eastern with the NFL Today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Basically, there's going to be some sort of playoff game. There'll be a bunch of them next week for teams and seeding. And we talked earlier, New England loses, they go to 3. There's a chance they go to 3. Jacksonville moves up, and then New England all of a sudden only has 1 playoff game instead of all of them at home, the 2 home ones. So a lot could happen here.
Leslie Frazier imploring his defense to hang in there and not lose track and focus of what you're doing. You're 7 down with a minute to go in the 3rd.
And Pittsburgh, I guarantee they're watching this right now, and their thinking is this: if New England loses this game, they get them back at home. When New England is the number 1 seed, I think 6 times they've been the number 1 seed. They've gone to the Super Bowl 5 of those times. So to come in here and beat them, it just doesn't happen very often. So, the whole AFC, anybody who's in position right now is always rooting for New England to lose every week they play throughout the whole season, especially the top teams now.
You saw the championship banners going back to the 01 season. Here go the Bills. And McCoy runs into Flowers for a loss of 1. And let's get more from Tracy.
Well, Jim, you saw Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, bringing his whole defense together, talking about one play not making a difference. He said the 4th quarter is where you win it. Don't let the tempo get to you and keep your poise. And that's another thing that Sean McDermott was talking about. You mentioned it in the open of the game as well. He brought Elston over as soon as that pass interference happened and said, keep your poise. Jim?
Meanwhile, they got to get this side of the football going too. 2nd and 11. Taylor's pass caught, and breaking away is Benjamin with a bad wheel. He can't really kick it into that extra gear, but he takes it to the 41. He reached out over Gilmore and picks up a huge gain to close out the 3rd quarter. 35 yards with that one.
That's what you got to do. Throw it outside the numbers to the big guy. That's why you got him.
Going to the 4th. 7-point game at New England. Happy holidays and welcome to the 4th quarter with Tony Romo and Tracy Wolfson. Mike Arnold, our director, Jim Rickoff, our producer, Jim Nance here on the call, and the Bills open the 4th in New England territory, and a 3-yard run by McCoy. Here they are at 8-6. They can't be knocked out of the playoffs today, nor can they clinch. And there's so many different things that kind of have to happen for Sean McDermott's team for them to make the playoffs. But hey, you win 2 games, you're 10-6. You got to love their chances if they can pull that off.
They get to 10-6. Something's going to happen. You're going to get in. It's just, it's super unique to get to that point, especially in the AFC this year. There's not that many teams.
2nd and 7, the toss to McCoy. Trying to get around Gilmore in and tiptoes. Where did they mark him? Mark him back at the 33 and a pickup of 5.
I tell you, if Buffalo gets in, and what they did, let's say they win today and they win next week. Well, now you've gone, you won the snow game, right? Then you won Miami, and then you got New England. I mean, you'll be coming in hot.
Beat Kansas City earlier in the year, too, which was an impressive win on the road.
I mean, they're playing their best football as of late, and it's a team no one wants because they're well coached and they're improving as the season's going on.
Yes, they are. They got a 3rd and 2. Goes to McCoy. He's a yard short. Now what do you do?
I'm going for it, but I think that, you can kick this field goal if you trust your kicker.
And you got a kicker who's made 7 kicks from 50+. Yeah, Chung a little dinged It would be a 50-yard field goal try if then they bring out Hauschka. They are bringing him out. There's a Buffalo team that also won earlier in the year at Atlanta. I mean, they've had some pretty impressive wins.
Yeah, no one wants to play a team who plays this physical, this hard, game in, game out, and is well coached. And you know, quarterbacks have a tough time. If you have a big day, it's usually because some sort of schematic, you know, big play. But here we go.
Yep, Hauschka from 50. For his 8th kick from 50 this year for the record. And it will not hook.
Oh!
And the Patriots get to take over at the 40. He didn't catch this one.
Turn it over! Hook! And there he is, Bill Belichick.
Oh, come on.
Very excited.
No.
I actually love this. He would actually laugh at
You can't call him the Grinch, can you?
That's the perception, but I think he's actually great. He just loves football and wants his team to win.
His team leads by 7. He's looking down the field and go to the side instead to Allen. And Allen has a gain of about 22.
This is also next level quarterbacking. Watch. Brady's going to look down the field and watch Allen go here. The key to this play, though, is Brady's going to look deep to take the safety in the corner out and watch where he throws the ball. He could throw this anywhere on this receiver. See how he moves it in front of him 2 yards? He makes his receiver adjust so he can start running on the catch. That gave him the run after catch capability.
Lewis, wide open run. Finally, Poyer, the safety, tackles him. Hyde, you see, is back on the field, and the Patriot offense full express mode right now. In fact, since the pick 6 thrown, they have scored on 4 straight possessions. Look at Poyer try to strip him.
We said earlier they smelled blood, and here they come. They've been since then.
Lewis.
Look
at him go. You know, he is so hard to bring down. You think he's a little guy that it just takes one guy to tackle him. How many times have we seen him this year with 3 or 4 players on him and he gets an extra 3 or 4 yards?
Yeah, I mean, you've done so many of these games in the past. You remember when they were undefeated if he played for like years, like 2 years
Yes.
they would go, like no one could beat him. He's a matchup nightmare. Then he got hurt, and they kind of went through a bunch of back stuff. When he's healthy, he's a matchup nightmare. You put him outside the numbers, and you look who's guarding him. And you look down here, and you see that's Tre'Davious White. It's zone coverage. Now Brady's going to go inside to Amendola right here, or somebody in that kind of role.
2nd and 4. Picks up the first near the 11. And that's Sharice Wright, who's on the ground. Now comes to his feet. Brady is 8 for 8 in the second half. You see his first half numbers, second half. The Patriots put up 10 points in the third quarter. And now threatening again. 1st and 10 at the 11. And that's Gillislee. Tackled a yard behind the line. You look back at that field goal try from 50. They went for the field goal attempt instead of 4th and 1, trying to lean on their offense to pick up the first down.
I don't love it. I think you haven't scored a touchdown offensively this year against New England. I don't think I'm going to go do it at the end of the game. You get opportunities, I'd be going for them.
2nd and 11. Brady still has it. Brady stepping up. Brady's hit. And that is Jerry Hughes who got to him.
No one's on. This is really unique. I mean, Buffalo does as good a job as anybody that I see on tape with confusing Brady and making him hold the ball. Just imagine if Buffalo could push that pocket like some of the other teams that they go against. They just don't quite have that pass rush that you probably need to consistently beat them. Because if they did, boy, McDermott's tough to go against in that secondary and what they do.
That goes as a sack for Hughes, the second for the Bills today. 3rd and 11. They go screen. Lewis got a lane, got a touchdown.
And you're going to see a simple screen, but watch the center. You're going to see him come right out. See him push up David Andrews to the side. It creates a huge hole. And then Shaq Mason. If we could, these two guys. Watch it right here. You're going to see the lineman. Boom. Nate Solder.
Extra point is good. And the Patriots have scored 17 unanswered.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Rock this Christmas with Walmart. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about. And by Acura Season Up Performance Event.
Have you been naughty or nice?
It depends on who you're asking.
Yeah, I think I've seen a combo platter. Merry Christmas, everyone. As the Bills field it at the 5 to Tate. He's not going to go very far. Great tackle down the field by King. I mentioned earlier how the Patriots recovered after Poyer had the interception and the run back for the touchdown. Since then, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah, they're so well versed in the mental switch that goes on. There's no panic on them, and that's the poise that I really wanted Buffalo before the game. It's like if you can beat this team, you got to have poise in big moments, and a couple times it cost them today. They need big plays now. I'd be aggressive this whole drive if you're Buffalo.
Well, that's not a good way to start. McCoy is met by Eric Lee, and Flowers is there as well.
It's a toss. There's nowhere to go. McCoy's just trying to find the lane, and New England was ready for that.
2nd and 12. Going on the run, he's got McCoy, and he's shoved out by Roberts. Sends him about 5 to 6 yards into the New England sideline area.
And you see McCoy's double teamed. They had him double teamed, and you'll hear this sound. Physical game. All right, get up on the ball. Here you go. Be aggressive now. Take your shots outside. There's no safety help. You're one-on-one.
Rush 5. Up and over the top. Benjamin quit running that route, so Gilmore actually had a play on it.
Well, Benjamin's expecting a back shoulder. He goes up to wall off the defender, and Gilmore had a shot at that interception.
So you see Taylor's numbers, 261. He threw for only 65 yards in the first matchup against New England before sitting out the 4th quarter with a knee injury.
There he is, Matt Patricia. This guy's a fantastic football coach, and what he's done with 6 or 7 defensive ends going out. I mean, they keep having to find new guys to do the same things, and they're getting them to still rush.
McCoy can't handle it with Marquise Flowers waiting for him. Crowd fully engaged on a 40-degree day here at Gillette Stadium.
They got to push it down the field here. No slants. They like quick stuff all the time. Get it down the field, Buffalo.
3rd and 10. Taylor loses the football. Trey Flowers was the one who hit him. And they say Buffalo recovers.
Great design. It's a corner blitz. Butler comes off the edge, and Taylor doesn't even know he's coming until he starts to run and scramble. And there's the ball comes out.
That was Malcolm Butler who really did the bulk of that work, stripping the football. A loss of 13. A 5th sack of the game for that New England defense. short boot. Big high hop. Picked up by Amendola. And finally, he's thrown down by Lacey. Brady and the Patriots trying to put this one away with a half a quarter go. Tosses it to Lewis. Oh, look at this room. And he's got a pickup of 16 or 17. He's moving in. In fact, he's just a yard shy of a 100-yard game. 19 for 99.
That's the thing, as the game moves on, you can only take away so much when you have a quarterback at that level. And they've adjusted. As Buffalo's gone small to try and neutralize the passing game, New England brings them inside, put a bunch of guys around the line, hand it off to the right, go to the next play.
Going to go into round with Cooks. And he's got about 5. What did you make of Guerrero Gate this week? The trainer, nutritionist, and great pal of Tom Brady, who's had a lot to do with his career preservation. Of course, the reports out there, it's kind of hard to get anybody to confirm what the real story is. And some are saying his sideline rights and traveling with the team rights have been rescinded. Some thought this might splinter the locker room. What did you make of all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to splinter the locker room. The reality is that Tom has a guy that he probably, and I haven't talked to him or Belichick about this, but in these situations in general, it's not the first time.
As Lewis is a yard short of a first.
It's not the first time this has happened in sports. I mean, this happens more than you think, probably, especially when players, Michael Jordan, way back in the day, had I think it was Tim, I can't remember his last name, but he was his personal trainer. And he's like, listen, I have a certain routine and plan that I want to do. And so he would start bringing his guy. And eventually he took Scottie Pippen with him and they started doing that routine. Well, that's out of the norm of who the Bulls guy, who their trainer is. And so it's kind of like one of those situations where it's uncomfortable because you want to use your same training staff for your team. He has a weight room staff that he wants everyone to do. Well, Tom, at this point, has a routine that he believes in and trusts. And it just sometimes gets uncomfortable because it's not the team's guy. But they're fine. It doesn't really affect that many people. They'll be just fine.
We have an injured player for the Bills. I believe it's Sharice Wright. And thankfully, he looks like he's going to get back up on his feet. Hit while making the tackle of Lewis.
Yeah, you want to keep your head up. That's the one thing you want to teach everybody who's tackling anyone in football, and just caught him right there. He's up though. That's good.
Was it Tim Grover? Was it? It was.
I think that might be the name.
Jordan's.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. But he was, and that was a big deal because at the time. Well, see, the thing is, you're Michael Jordan, and you want to work out, and no one worked harder than that guy, right? And it's like Brady. Once they believe in something, they're going to make it part of the routine, and you can't just say no. We don't trust in what you're doing. Well, he's like, I've had a little success. I can, I feel like I know what's important for me. And he adjusts. Belichick adjusts. He lets his guys come around, things, every team. And then all of a sudden it gets to be too much, and you throttle it back a little bit. That's just part of sports.
They're as you see, they bring in Lafayette Pitts, third-string corner, and they're chanting MVP for TB12, who has 3rd and 1, and sneaks for the first. Imagine being 40 years old and being the MVP. I can't imagine anyone else beating him out now. But you start looking at the annals of sport, the 4 major sports, the oldest to ever get that designation. It's Charlie Connerly, by the way, for the NFL at 38, the old Giant. But Karl Malone, Herb Gardner of the Montreal Canadiens, and Barry Bonds, who went to the same high school as Tom Brady, Junipero High School out in the Bay Area.
What was it like watching Charlie Connerly when you were a kid?
Thanks. He was great pals with Pat Summerall, by the way.
Was he really?
Charlie Connerly.
Would that have been during the would that have been the Frank Gifford era?
All that time, yes. Kyle wrote all those guys, and actually there was a CBS executive was wanting to audition Pat, and he called Pat's apartment. Pat was rooming with Charlie Connolly, and
Pat was playing.
Pat was playing. They were Giants. It was the off season, and this CBS executive called looking for Charlie. Pat answered the phone, said Charlie's not here, and the exec said, you know, you have a pretty good voice. Why don't you come down and audition?
Wow.
And that launched one of the great careers of all time. Pat
That's
Summerall.
exactly
He got
what
the
happened.
job.
They called for Witten when I was rooming.
That's what, of course. As Lewis breaks it down to the 5.
You see New England just running this ball right down Buffalo's throat. Buffalo knows. So they're all out coming after him, and there's a hole there. I mean, I know Buffalo's probably not going to win this football game, to say, obviously, but I'll tell you, they're coming. You can see it. This was as difficult for a long stretch as we've seen New England. You know,
First and goal, handoff, Lewis. By the way,
have it against Buffalo in a long time.
yes, to accomplish something though, like an MVP and maybe on his way to yet another Super Bowl title, how many 40-year-old accomplishments in sport can you remember? Thinking of somebody 40 plus.
Let's see. The only thing that comes to mind would be the bear who came out of hibernation.
I knew you were going to say that.
Your great
There
line
it
from
is.
1986. I don't understand. Why are we showing him today? It's just, I don't understand how he relates to this game. Jim, you got anything?
Yeah, there may be somebody on the field, number 84, Buffalo, that knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Nick O'Leary. The timeout called by the Bills.
For those of you who don't know, that was Jim Nance. Was it the first or the second year?
That was
of the
my
Masters?
that was my first Masters, yeah.
First Masters. He's on the 16th hole. Nicholas makes a putt at 46, and they all thought he was gone. It'd be like Tiger doing it now. You know, you got to come up with your Tiger line if he's
Tiger's got a birthday this week.
Hey, Tiger's going to make a
42.
run.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Tiger Woods is back.
Second and goal, okay. And they hand it off to Lewis again. He's not going to be stopped. Touchdown, Dion Lewis. This final score is not going to be indicative of how competitive this game was for a good almost 3 quarters, really.
It's really not. I mean, I know Buffalo is going to lose this football game, but they played, you know, really well for a long period of time, and they're just missing a couple little pieces that will make this go, you know, to the wire each one of these games. But they're coming, and New England feels them. I promise you, they know Buffalo's got a bright future.
Gostkowski adds the extra point. And again, losing today does not eliminate the Bills. Still win next week at Miami and need some other things to happen to go their way to make the postseason and end the longest active drought right now in any of the 4 major sports.
And Buffalo, I mean, everyone's rooting for them. You know, they got the right guy in McDermott. And, you know, that score is just going to look bad, but New England does that to a lot of teams. That was a lot closer game. And then on top of it, that's a hard-working town. They need this year. They can still get in. This doesn't eliminate them from the playoff contention. I mean, Baltimore's going to get in now, I think.
We'll get in if it beats Cincinnati next week.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you're going to have basically between, I don't know what's going on in the other games right now, but Tennessee is against the Rams.
Yeah, they're losing to the Rams in the mid-4th, 27-23.
So if they lose, it's going to come right back to those teams. And then you're going to throw the Chargers, who are in there.
Chargers are up on the Jets 14-7 late. Then on the NFC side of things, if Philadelphia, which plays tomorrow against Oakland, if Philadelphia beats the Raiders, it will seal the #1 seed, and that would lock in Minnesota as the 2. Minnesota can't go up or down if the Eagles win tomorrow.
I think if Minnesota, you're not going to Minnesota to win unless you do something incredible. That's just a really, really difficult place to play, and it'll be interesting to watch.
Taylor connects. And catch by Tate. Kansas City is trying to put away the AFC West and is up big in the late going against Miami.
Go!
29-13 and that one. Here's the 2nd and 6. Taylor's pass caught by Tate. Did he have them both down though? I don't think so. Nope.
Is he in? And just about 6 or 7 feet out of bounds. He was out by a good half a step, I think.
Made a good effort to get to back foot down, but
that was great.
Front foot was already out. 3rd and 6.
Hey, go poking, poking. Go.
Pats rush 5. Taylor goes over the top. Oh, and short arm attempt there by Thompson, but a flag is out. Deontay Thompson had 2 big catches in this game. 46-yarder.
Pass, holding, defense, number 21. It's a 5-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
Yeah, Thompson with a 33-yard catch and a 46-yard catch.
See, Thompson now gets by Butler. You get a little hold, and then he pulled up right there. It's hamstring, looks like. But I think he's okay. Probably felt the safety coming.
Yes, he did.
Go!
And there's a catch by Thompson. I got a question for you. We did, of course,
I love questions.
a whole assortment of Thursday night games this year. What player caught more passes on Thursday night football this year than any other in the league?
On Thursday Night Football,
You'll never get it.
Nick O'Leary.
You were looking at him, Deontay Thompson. I'll tell you how he did it here in a minute as they go to Clay. Cut upfield, he got the first, and he does. Out to the 50. So Deontay Thompson caught 5 passes as a member of the Bears in Green Bay. Remember the game where we were
That's how he
delayed?
Did. I was thinking of Thanksgiving team maybe if they played twice.
And then he had 7 in the game against the Jets as a member of the Bills. So he had 12 catches on Thursday Night Football.
He is the Thursday night Superman.
He's the man. Pass tipped by Chung. Patriots next week will be playing host to the Jets. You know, they had a strange season. They had 3 out of 4 games at the start that were at home, and then they went on the road for like 7 of the next 10, 5 out of 6 at one stretch, and closed out with 2 home games. But talking to Brady, talking to Belichick, it was a weird year. I mean, it just felt like they were constantly getting on the plane and traveling somewhere, places like, you know, Mexico City. As this pass is broken up by Butler.
Hey, you're right. It has been a strange year, and in a lot of ways, remember, they started off not very good this year.
2-2.
And they got hot for a long time. And even though they're winning, you know, they lost that Miami game, and it hasn't come quite as easy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you're thinking about, boy, this isn't your normal, you know, Patriot way in some capacity. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the playoffs, because they're weak in some areas they're not normally weak in.
Well, you saw Matt Patricia. They've tried to figure out how to bring in a lot of bodies, like you said, to fix the in position, defensive end. Got a flag down as Taylor just gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Possible holding always in that area. I think Patricia and McDaniels are getting looks here.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as this
It was
season
a
ends.
hands to the face. Offense, number 79. That penalty decline brings up 4th down.
Jim, do you mind if I do a promo real quick before?
Would you please? Please.
I don't want to talk about the coaches. Let's do a promo. Go ahead, Jim.
Ready to read the card. Coming up, the State Farm post-game show with JB Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Cower, scores, highlights, State Farm post-game show. Got to do it. Got to do what you're told, right?
Go.
Yep. 4th
Got
and
bills
10.
to pay. Here we go.
his pass is short for O'Leary.
He was open. Ball's just short. So I think Josh McDaniels, I think he takes the job this offseason. I think he's going to get a head coaching position at, I think there's 1 or 2 spots, and then
He's had the opportunity and he's turned them down.
yeah, and I can see why.
Because he loves working here under the stewardship of Belichick and chance to work with the greatest ever and Tom Brady.
Yeah, he knows he's going to have opportunities every year. As long as Belichick and Brady are here, he's going to have an opportunity to be a coach. And he's going to be successful because he's a good coach. This year, I think, he actually takes the job.
Well, you got Brian Hoyer at quarterback as the Patriots run the football with Bolden. And how about Patricia? You can't look at the stats. You got to look at what this team, how it got better as the season went on, because they had a lot of new parts and then a lot of injuries, whether it be Hightower or Van Noy here lately. Alan Branch has missed a lot of time.
They've gone through a lot, and he's kept them afloat and somehow morphed in his defense to stop giving up points.
2 minutes to go.
Maybe some of his best job he's done.
Yep. Some handsome outfits as we bring you the last 2 minutes. That's all I want for Christmas.
You actually asked about an ugly Christmas sweater game today.
That would have
You considered it.
qualified as some sort of ugly attire award.
But then our producers told us that we don't put you guys on air anyway, so we're good.
Path to the playoffs with a loss today and a win next week against Miami. They would need a Tennessee win today, but then the Titans to lose to Jacksonville next week, or Baltimore to lose to Cincinnati, or 2 Tennessee losses and 1 Charger loss. That's what it's a whole strange Rubik's Cube kind of a set of circumstances, but the one part they wanted, Tennessee is losing inside 6 minutes to go. And then kneel down. We got the State Farm post-game show coming up. And we've got one more regular season game to go, and want to thank our associate directors, Ryan Galvin and Brian Kozowski and Eric Spitzer. We want to thank our crew up here in the booth, like Tommy Spencer, our editorial consultant, and Big T, Tom Brewer, and Ethan Cooperson on stats, and Kevin McHale, who done such a fantastic job running the booth.
He's got a great post move.
Yes, he does. Up here in Boston.
No, yeah, it's good. It all relates together here. We have a great staff.
Yes, we do. We're grateful. Thankful. We saw.
And I'm thankful for the great Jim Nance.
Oh, hey, right back at you,
passing
big
out
guy.
Christmas cheer.
Right back at you.
I haven't got my present yet, so if you could just send that.
It's on the way, pal.
Well, Tom Brady's given a gift to New England for years, and it's got him back in the playoffs and possible #1 seed. If you got to go through Gillette Stadium, it's going to be a tough road ahead for any opponent. You got to go through that guy.
Yeah, 1 win away from locking that up. And there's Coach Belichick, who was hired 18 days after the Bills lost in the Music City Miracle game, their last playoff appearance. He was hired 2.5 weeks later. 15 division titles later and a bunch of Super Bowls. And maybe another one, who knows, on the way this year as they improve to 12-3 on the year. Bills drop back to 8-7.
Let's say Tennessee loses. You got 3 games next week. Chargers, Buffalo, Tennessee. Anything can happen.
37-16 is the final. Coming up next, the State Farm post game. For Tracy and Tony, Jim Nance saying so long. We'll take it back to New York after this.